11. Wisdom. ASHTAVAKRA said, "It is to nature that belongs whatever happens, does not happen, gets created or destroyed or altered in a changing world. All this occurs quite naturally. It happens of its own accord. When this is surely understood, whoever realizes it finds comfort, leading back to peace which no affliction can disturb." For someone who's completely sure that everything here in the world is a creation of the Lord, and that there is no alien thing, all hope or wish for outside things becomes dissolved in peace within. Then how can there be anything to which that someone is attached? For someone who's completely sure that fortunes and misfortunes come in the course of time from fate alone, all faculties remain controlled spontaneously from self within. That someone always rests content, where neither want nor grief is found. For someone who's completely sure that joy and pain, like birth and death, arise in time from fate alone, it is not hopefully perceived that everything which we expect can somehow always be achieved. That someone is thus liberated from involvement with exertion. Such a one is always free, never found to be attached, not even in the midst of doing bodily actions in the world. All suffering here in this world is just a fearful fantasy, born only from mind's worrying. Whoever is conceived of this gets thereby freed and rests content, with all desires given up, no matter where, no matter when. No, I am not this body here, and no, this body is not mine. Whoever is conceived of this does not fall back on what's been done, nor frets at what's been left undone. Beyond all doing or non-doing, freedom is found absolute. Just I alone am all this, right from the all-creating Lord down to the smallest tuft of grass. Whoever knows this truth for sure is freed from all conditioned thought. That someone is thus pure, at peace, remaining always turned away from what may sometimes be attained or may sometimes be unattained. For someone who's completely sure that this amazing, complex world is not at all what it appears, that certainly brings freedom from all personal conditioning of wish and want for partial things. Thus freed from personality, one comes at last to shining peace, whose very nature lights itself, as if there's nothing in the world that may exist or not exist. 12. Abiding in the self. Janaka said, "At first repelled by body's acts, next by long speech and then by thought, it's thus alone that I abide. Not getting to be interested in sound and other kinds of sense, and by there being nothing seen of self by our sense faculties, I'm always free at heart of both distraction and one-pointedness. It's thus alone that I abide." It's only in distraction caused by superimposition and such other things that action need be taken to become absorbed in concentrated states of mind. This being seen to be the rule, it's thus alone that I abide. Where all accepting and rejecting have been left behind, there can be no excitement or dejection that produce a show of change. Thus here and now, a state is reached in which no change at all appears, no changing happening. No changing happening is shown deceptively superimposed upon unchanged reality. Just that itself is all there is, found where no happenings appear. It's thus alone that I abide. What way of life to lead or not, or meditation, or rejecting habits and beliefs that mind has currently come to accept, discerning my mistaken fancies and confusions by these means, I come at last to clarity in which I thus alone abide. Restraining or avoiding action comes as much from ignorance as action seeking to achieve desired objects in the world. Beyond what's done or is not done, there is this principle of truth, which must be fully recognized by coming back to what it is. It's there alone that I abide. In thinking of what can't be done, some form of thought must be involved. So too, that last remaining mode of thinking must be given up, to stand in truth where I abide. Whoever has accomplished that, has done what needed to be done, has now arrived at what was sought. Whoever lives there naturally finds truth alone, spontaneously throughout all changes that appear. Established thus in truth alone, all that was needed has been done. 13. Happiness. Janaka said, "In one who is completely free of anything that's thought possessed, there springs an unaffected peace. But even if it's just a loincloth which gets taken to be mine, this sense of owning something else impairs that springing up of peace. Accordingly, with all rejecting and accepting given up, I live content with what I am. At some place or another, it is body that becomes distressed. Elsewhere it may be speech or mind that suffers trouble and wears out. Renouncing these, I rest content, established in that goal of life, from where all meaning is expressed, for which all that we do is done. In truth, there's nothing ever done. There can be no accomplishment claimed rightly by anyone. When this is fully realized, what's there to do just comes about. That being done, I live at peace, from which I cannot be disturbed. Where yogis take themselves to stand in body, they remain tied down to states of acting and not acting in a world where change takes place. Abandoning all such involvement and detachment, I am found as that which always lives content, at peace with what I always am. No gain or loss gets to be mine. I do not gain, nor do I lose, by standing up or lying down or going off to somewhere else. In standing still or traveling, as in the depth of dreamless sleep, I live content in perfect peace, exactly as I always am. In sleep, my presence is not lost. I live therefore undiminishing, nor in deep sleep is there found gain which striving in the world achieves. Abandoning both dark destruction and bright gain, I live fulfilled, with nothing further to attain. Appearances of pleasure and of other such emotions are found limited and compromised by their occurrence in a world of circumstantial happenings. Observing this time and again, all judgment of what's beautiful or ugly must be left behind. Thus I return to live content, where peace and happiness are found beyond all thought of compromise. 14. Tranquility. Janaka said, "Consider someone who at heart is free of calculating mind. For someone thus devoid of mind, there is no thought of objects gained. All thought arises motiveless, inspired by nature from within. It is as though that someone finds a consciousness that stays awake throughout all dreams which mind creates, and in the depth of dreamless sleep. Returning there, all personal conditioning, inherited by recollection from the past, becomes exhausted, comes to end. In what or where are riches found? Where comrades, friends? Where fancied objects, robbing mind of sober sense? And where is learning? Where is reason, telling right from what is wrong? As my desire melts away, just what of value can remain? Where self is known as that transcendent principle of unaffected witnessing, from which all capability and guidance comes, there can be no desire left to free myself of being bound. No such desire can occur. Where someone inwardly quite free of worried thought acts, outwardly inspired from pure happiness of undeliberated self, those carefree acts may seem insane, may seem improper and confused. It's only someone else like that who understands such carefree acts and the extraordinary states that their strange author passes through. 15. Knowledge of the self. ASHTAVAKRA said, "One who is pure of mind and heart attains to what is sought, to truth that's told exactly as it is. But someone else may stay perplexed, despite a wish for learning that continues through the course of life. Distaste for objects liberates, and relishing these objects binds. It's thus that knowledge is discerned. Then do exactly as you please. This knowledge of plain truth may make a person who is eloquent, intelligent, and active seem to have turned dumb, turned stupid, and unwilling to do anything. Such knowledge is not meant for those who seek enjoyment in the world. You are not body. Body is not yours, nor are you any doer, nor enjoyer anywhere. Just what are you as consciousness, appearing as that silent witness which stays always unattached? As that alone you live content through all that happens in the world. Like and dislike depend on mind, but no such mind is ever yours. You are just consciousness itself, quite independent of all thought. As that alone you live content, at peace with what you really are. True self is bound in every being, and each being truly lives in nothing else but self alone. It is by realizing this that anyone may live content, quite free of ego-claiming acts and objects that it thinks are mine. Like waves arising in the sea, this universe springs forth into its show of many changing things. But this is only consciousness, here seen embodied as a world. Be that one consciousness untouched by feverish anxiety. Be sure of it. Be deeply sure that you make no confusion here. You are what knowledge truly is, just as from which all guidance comes. You are what knowledge truly is, just that from which all guidance comes. That is the self, just what you are, beyond all nature's functioning. This body is found wrapped around by qualities. Accordingly, it stays unmoved. It comes and goes. But self is not affected thus. It neither comes, nor does it go. Why then feel sorry for its sake? Let body last until its cyclic journey ends, or let it go here and now repeatedly. What gain or loss prevents you? What gain or loss pertains to you, who are yourself just consciousness, unmixed with anything besides? In you, who are an ocean that is limitless, let there arise and let subside each wave of world that happens of its own accord. This does not add to what you are, nor does it take away from what is yours. You are pure consciousness itself. This changing world is nothing different from what you are yourself. Then how and where does thought arise, of what to take or to reject? To whom can such a thought occur? You are yourself that changeless peace, one single unmixed consciousness continuing through everything. In that, from where does birth arise, where action, and where ego's false pretense to be an acting I? In what you see, just you shine there, all of your own. What else but gold shines out in gold ornaments? You must completely leave behind dividing thoughts like, this is what I am, or no, I am not this. Find out for sure that everything is self alone. Thus you return to what you are, to happiness found free of mind's desiring. The world arises only from your ignorance. It's you alone who are the one reality. Apart from you, no one migrates from life to life. It is none other than yourself that is found free of transmigrating in this way. This world is a bewilderment. It is not truly anything that is perceived and thought to be. Whoever finds this out for sure becomes thereby disinterested, no longer driven by desire. Thus, consciousness is found to shine unmixed, as its own knowing light. It's there at last that peace is found, as though no other thing exists. It's found completely undisturbed, illuminated from within. Here, in the ocean of the world, just one alone was in the past, is now, and will be, and will in the future be. No bondage, freedom can be yours, thus live fulfilled, content at peace. You are just consciousness itself. Do not disturb your mind with wrangling arguments for or against. Stay calm, content in your own self, for it is there within your heart that happiness is truly found. Give even contemplation up. Hold nothing in your heart and mind. It is as self that you are free. What will you gain by any thought? 16. Special Instructions. ASHTAVAKRA said, although you often may discuss or listen to what many different scriptures say, you won't by this stand independent in yourself. That freedom cannot be attained without forgetting everything that memory has brought to mind. As someone who has learned discernment, you may find yourself engaged in life's enjoyments, or in work that may be usefully achieved, or else in states of mind's absorption back into the depth of heart. But even so, your mind will long to reach beyond the aims it seeks, to where all wish and hope dissolve. Each one of us is made unhappy by exertion in pursuit of objects that our minds desire, but no one knows quite what it is for which exertion may arise or be returned to peace and rest. Where someone fortunate receives instruction from a living teacher, there alone is freedom found. It's only thus that anyone is freed from the conditioning of personality and world. There is a central principle inactively uttered within. It does not even blink. That would be too troublesome for it. And yet, all acts arise from it, inspired for its sake alone. To it alone and to none else all happiness and truth belongs. When opposites like this is done or that not done are left behind, mind gets to be indifferent. It seeks no pleasure, riches, good, nor even freedom from all these. It is when objects don't attract that someone is dispassionate, and it's through greed for objects that a person gets to be attached. But one who neither takes nor gives can't be attached to anything. There, no attachment can apply, nor can detachment from the world. It's from this sense of give and take that the world tree of happening comes into sprout and branches forth. It is by standing in desire that fancied thought fails to be clear, fails to distinguish different things. So long as anyone stands here, the sense of give and take remains, for it appears a seeming world obscured by a confusing show of insufficient clarity. It is engaged in doing that attraction comes about, and in abstention that aversion shows. A person who attains to wisdom lives there freely, like a child quite innocent of opposites. It's only one who feels attached that seeks escape from suffering and wishes to renounce the world. For someone who no longer feels attached, no suffering remains, not even in this changing world. One who has thus attained detachment stays untroubled everywhere, throughout all change of happenings. Whoever still has ego's pride in liberation, or feels a sense of mindness toward body, cannot rightly be a sage who is established in plain truth, nor yet a yogi joining back into unchanging reality. Each person claiming pride or mindness thus partakes in suffering and makes true self seem compromised. No matter what great Lord or God may somehow be invoked to teach you anything, you won't by this stand independent in yourself. That freedom cannot be attained without forgetting everything that memory has brought to mind.